Thanks very much. Hey, I'm Todd Cohen, Vice President of Video and CTV at Undertone. I need a remote here now.
If it doesn't work, fake it, I'll do it. Now it's all wet.
All right, wrinkles that were not rehearsed. How we doing? All right, so today we're going to talk about how advertisers are using high impact CTV to drive effective reach. Am I blocking the screen? All right, we seem to be all right. Just can't see what's behind me. We are off to a smashing start. Should I just point? Be a dance. I don't think I can cycle back and forth on that one. Hey, we're in. Hey, look at that. So there's a lot of fragmentation in. Thank you very much. There's a lot of fragmentation today. We've heard about it in a few of the earlier speakers. Used to be able to reach everyone with a TV ad. But it's increasingly more and more challenging. We're no doubt hearing about cord cutters. That's no longer a bit issue. Now that's 40% if you include cord nevers that are completely unreachable with cable. That's a challenge. And maybe even the bigger challenge, or at least at the same level, is the other 60% that have cable, but they also like Netflix. I like Netflix. And the challenge is they're harder and harder to reach. I think one of our previous panelists mentioned, or roundtable said, people are watching a ton of TV in that group, but there are also people that are watching less TV, and that makes them harder to reach. And that makes it even more important to make an impact when you do reach them. So fortunately, a lot of these folks are also watching CTV. 200 million Americans have CTV. Many of them have ad-supported CTV. And that creates an opportunity, but also a challenge. I'm just gonna shake it like a, someone want to shout when it comes through? Nope. Little help from the back.
It's Zoom, sorry.
Oh, look at that. I'm back. Smooth. It might be me. Sorry. So people are watching a lot of ads these days. You've certainly noticed that. And as more and more eyeballs flow to CTV, then obviously ad dollars are shifting there too. Carolina mentioned earlier that she's looking at time spent, and that's exactly how they often advise their clients. And that makes a lot of sense, and a lot of agencies are doing that as well. But with so many ads, it's more and more important to help your ad break through. How can you do that? To put it another way, if you're going to rely on CTV to help with driving unique reach from the shortfall from television, then it's very important to help your ad get noticed. And this is important and perhaps groundbreaking, aren't noticed, have no impact. Now, that's a little bit obvious, sure, but how can you help your ad get the most impact possible? Now, fortunately, these days, there's been innovations in CTV where you actually can use it to gain an edge in market. So that's going to be the focus of today's presentation. Some elements that marketers have been using in order to drive a little bit of an advantage in market to get their ad draw more attention in, as well as resonate better. So without further ado, let's start with an example. Hit the video.
It all starts with an invitation to experience Lexus.
You're watching.
Don't miss the Invitation to Lexus sales event now through March 31st.
And you're not expecting it to drive across the screen. I wasn't, and that draws your attention, and that's all we want. These animations can be custom and designed. The goal is not to do all these crazy things that we can do. Technology is now well beyond our needs for this sort of area. The goal is to use these animations in order to draw attention into the video to get more people to notice it. And once their eyeballs are on the screen, that's why you pay your creative agency to do awesome creative. That's what we want, draw more attention to the video as best as we can, or draw more attention into the key elements that you're trying to get them across, which can be done with a canvas these days. Now, many ads are designed, great ads are designed to tell a story. So sight, sound, and motion create an emotional connection, and this has been done effectively since the beginning of time. However, there's more and more distractions in your living room. And all kinds of interesting things on your iPhone. When you get to the commercial, how can you keep the eyeballs on screen? What if people don't have a Super Bowl-like attention on the screen? And so some of these, when you're telling a story, sometimes don't mention the product or the brand in the first 5 seconds, 10 seconds. We've all sitting there, been watching a commercial. Maybe you liked it, maybe you didn't, but you have no idea what it was for. Now, if you had watched it A to Z, you might have gotten the full impact of it, and it might have had the impact on you that was desired. But if the ad's doesn't mention what it's for in the first 5 seconds, 10, 15 seconds, then one of the things that some advertisers are doing are creating this canvas around it in order to drive persistent branding for fluency. In this example, and yeah, it's on screen. Love when that works out. In this example that we have on screen, Delta had us started as a full ad, just like everything else you see on TV, starts as the whole video. But then gradually it reveals additional branding, and that enables you to put other elements, starting with their logo, as well as these other elements. Also, it takes a long time to produce a video ad. Sometimes it can be churned out pretty quickly, but a lot of times from conception to by the time it makes the air, you have to make a bet on what the entire life of the campaign is going to be. So many advertisers are utilizing this canvas strategy in order to include additional elements to help meet the moment. In this example, they put the girl with the mask on and use different elements in the wording there. It could also be used for different taglines to reemphasize key messages. Okay, so we were just talking about direct response before this of how you can drive a connection. But before we even get to that, we've been looking since the beginning of television, how do you connect viewership to action? And yes, it started with 800 numbers, then we shifted to websites. The challenge with all of those is that you're watching a TV ad and then you have to scramble to remember, oh, and hopefully you have to see it enough. We talked about 3 times, 5 times, 7 times before that might resonate. But what if you didn't have to remember anything at all? Nowadays, you can have a QR code put right on the screen, built right into the canvas around it. Yes, it could be done right into the video too, but that's a larger commitment on that across everything you run. But you can put a QR code right on screen. The user can pick up their phone, they snap on their iPhone, and boom, they're right on your website or even the product page. You could actually have it go directly from the thing that you were advertising to right into their shopping cart. What we're trying to do is remove all of the different obstacles to get them from saw it, liked it, I'm interested, let me find out more. Let's reduce all of that friction as best as possible right into their shopping cart. And the biggest benefit you're going to get out of that right out off the bat might not even be the conversion. It's the fact that people aren't expecting a QR code on screen. How many TVs have that? I only see QR codes when I go to the restaurant and want to use the menu. So it's back. I thought it died 10 years ago, but QR codes are in fact back these days. We had to use them for the media post conference right this weekend. So you see a QR code on screen, the first thing that you notice is, oh, there must be something interesting that they're asking us to connect on. And that's one of the best practices that our team works with in order to set that up for optimal success. Now, with regular TV ads, if you run a great ad and you reach the right viewer, that's it. That's the end of the experience, and they move on to the content. Now, that happens in television and CTV, but what if you could take advantage of that moment of interest? You've reached the right viewer. They see it, they're interested. It would be great if they could just lean in and engage with the brand, and now that's possible. So introducing interactive CTV, where the viewer can actually interact with the ad right on screen. They see what's interested on screen, and then they could use their CTV remote, the very same one they use to play the content that they've clicked on, and then interact. In this one here with Mercedes, this was designed to, when they're interested, use their CTV remote and actually get more content. So as soon as they do, this ad paused. Sorry, that shoulder. I didn't realize where the podium was going to be when I planned that. It'll actually pause the ad. If you watched after 11 seconds, still have the other 19 seconds left, that's still there. But now the viewer can actually explore other elements, whether it's photos or images or text, other information about them. In this case, Mercedes had us build in other videos. Now, if it was an online video ad, they'd want you to click on the online video ad and go to the website, learn more about them. But in this case, it's television. You can't click your television. That's not how that works. So you can use your CTV remote, click on the elements, and Mercedes said, wow, as long as they're interested, let's not hope that they get to our website. Let's show them information about the cargo room, the ambient lighting, whatever it is we want to engage them about. Full videos, 30 seconds, maybe 2 minutes, whatever you want to put into there. It's almost like building a little microsite on the television, and that's all possible with teams that are equipped to do that. Another way, sorry, just checking to make sure it's actually, in fact, coming up behind me. So another way that you could make your ads more effective these days with CTV is to personalize them. You know when you run an ad where that household is receiving it. You don't have to do one size fits all. So as long as you're going to run an ad that tells people about something that they could buy in a store, for example, and you know where they are, their natural question is going to be, where is that store? Where is that location? Where can I find it? And as long as we know, why not put it right into the ad? You could personalize the experience. And what that means is, just like we were mentioning earlier with addressable, every person could receive a slightly different ad. And we could build the locations right into it. You're being helpful to the viewer, giving them information that they want, and personalization equals relevancy. And relevancy helps resonate better. So all of these elements have been on the big screen, but a lot of you have also experimented with using high impact elements across other screens on the laptops and on mobile and other elements. You're just not used to seeing them on CTV because that's new. And it's important to create a cohesive strategy across all screens. Now, earlier, someone mentioned that for the longest time, they were planted in silos. The TV folks weren't even talking to the digital folks, but now they talk. And as long as you're going to be doing high impact, do it across all screens. Think about what is the best way to connect those. Maybe it makes sense to do a similar design, similar look and feel like this one was here. This used our page grabber, how our company rose to prominence over the previous decades that they just mentioned, as well as our branded CTV. But it can be done in a variety of different ways. Create a cohesive strategy and work with teams that know how to build for the format, that understand CTV is different and has a lot of nuances. It's a brand new category. So work with teams that know how to take advantage of that. So all of those ideas were ways that you could get a little bit more impact and a little bit more attention during the commercial. But what if you weren't in the commercial at all? What if you weren't in the commercial pod break, I should say? Because that's the time that they're trying to avoid. When TiVo came out, people were like, yes, this is amazing. I'm going to avoid all commercials and stop watching. So they're not here for the commercial. They're here for the content. So that commercial avoidance, that's been ingrained in viewers. So one of the ways that you can capture their attention better is to not run during the commercial pod at all. So introducing this strategy where you can actually run alongside the content. You've seen this in NFL games. You've seen this in the Olympics. It's now available in connected TV, where you could run alongside the content as the game continues to roll. So I'm going to show a quick example here. If we could just hit this.
If you missed the first half, that highlight typified too much of it. We're even at 50, but the
This golf season, we're giving you a shot to win big like Bryson does on the golf.
Okay, so see what happened as you're watching the TV, as you're watching your content, you're watching the game. In this case, it was an NBA game, could be esports, could be the baseball game. Whatever you're watching, that continued rolling, that broadcast. And therefore, there's never a time that the viewer says subconscious in their head, oh, this is a good time to go to the bathroom. This is a good time to leave. This is a good time to get food. This is a good time to turn it off, because this is not the commercial break. If they're interested in the game, they're still watching that game. And alongside it can be your ad. And unlike everything you see in linear, it could be fully branded with your info. It's not cookie cutter like it has to be on linear television. That's a challenge that doesn't exist in CTV. So it could be customized for all of your needs. And maybe it makes sense to include it very basic, but sometimes like this example, hey, I do have it on screen. I love when that works out. Maybe it makes sense like this example here with DraftKings to put key messaging, their logo persistently on, almost a sponsorship-like experience. Or maybe it makes sense to put a call to action. When we work with Beyond Meat, for example, they wanted to put an image of their juicy burger right into the actual canvas. So create those elements. Those are ways that as they're watching it, they can't miss it. And as soon as the commercial ends, it goes right back into the content. the sports game, esports, music, whatever they were watching, that continues. So
If you miss the first,
how do you drive the highest impact possible? You could now do this. You could now do all of these different elements to make your ads more memorable, more relevant, more engaging. Thanks very much. Let us know if you have any questions after to help.